Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Daly. I spent 20 years with United Press International, most of it with the old UPI Radio Network. And my favorite assignment was going on the road producing and hosting American Montage. It was an hour-long weekly program. Now here's an edited version of one of those shows.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's program. If you have been listening to this program in past years, you know we broadcast from an awful lot of different places around the country. The top of the lighthouse in Key West, we've been to Old North Church, to the Alamo, the Grand Canyon, even up to Alaska, and across the border to Canada and Mexico. And every place we go, we take you along because this is a wide and wonderful country. This week I'm standing along US 191 in one of the prettiest parts of the country I've ever been in my life. I'm going to say 3 words to you, and I want you to tell me what those words conjure up in your mind. The words are Big Sky Country. You know, I didn't know much about Big Sky Country until years ago when the late newscaster Chet Huntley talked about this part of the world. It is the area south of Bozeman, Montana. Just about 100 or so yards to my right is the Gallatin River, a beautiful lazy stream that runs through here. There are hills and valleys and mountains, opportunities to canoe and go rafting. There is some of the most gorgeous scenery in the world and some of the most wonderful food. So this week we are here in Big Sky Country, and in just a minute we're going to be talking to a lady who is going to tell us about Big Sky, but also some of the other things that are important when you book a vacation, not just to here but to other parts of the country. Before talking to her, though, let me tell you about some of the experiences I've had up here at Big Sky that I've never had anywhere else. You may know I'm from a rural part of the Midwest and that I worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture for a while, half a decade. But I had never been on a horse until I came up here to Big Sky. I had the opportunity to go riding up some of these wonderful hills and cliffs and had the time of my life. There is something just amazingly therapeutic about coming to this part of the world. Not only is it the horseback riding, but particularly along the Gallatin River here, the wonderful and magnificent fishing, it is the fact that many out-of-the-way spots like this in the U.S. are open for business 12 months out of the year, and they have a very different character. Come here in the winter months and you're going to see an awful lot of snow and snow activity. The Big Sky ski area is very close to here, just about 7 or 8 miles. Come here in the summer, you're going to see fishing and rafting and hiking, canoeing, and horseback riding. But through all the year, and I mentioned it just a minute ago, you're going to see some magnificent food. We are the guests this week of the Rainbow Ranch Lodge, and it's a new facility here on Highway 191 in Big Sky Country, and it's not the kind of place you might go to think you're going to find gourmet cooking. But let me tell you, when you travel around the country, you're going to find some of the best food is in some of the most out-of-the-way places. Certainly you're going to find great food at 4-star hotels around the country. You're going to see some magnificent food being served as it is here, and that is part of the Big Sky story also. One of the other things of interest is upon arrival here, I had a problem with a tooth. It became kind of sensitive. There was no dentist available, but they took me over to Big Sky, and sure enough, in a house trailer is a nice medical center and a doctor who gave me a prescription, and as soon as I get back to Los Angeles, I'm going to see a dentist. The one thing I did want to comment about that is that he said it was kind of refreshing to see someone with a dental problem because during the winter he sees all of those people who took a little tumble while they were trying to learn to ski. So this week on American Montage, we come to you from US 191 in what can only be called God's country. You know, when I do a show in a beautiful part of the world like this, and I know it's only radio, it is one of the few times when I really wish that it were television, so I could point the camera up to the sky and show you why they call this God's country. Why indeed it has for decades, for centuries now, been called the Big Sky Country. We are the guests of the Rainbow Ranch Lodge. I sat down inside Rainbow Ranch Lodge to talk to Kate Morley, who is in charge of much of what goes on here, about the lodge, about Big Sky, and about why so many tourists flock here year after year. Kate, I only heard of Big Sky, I guess, first years ago when the late newscaster Chet Huntley of NBC, the old Huntley-Brinkley report, retired to this area, started talking about it before he retired. Maybe it's a dumb question to say, what is the allure of Big Sky with that name? But what brings tourists here? Can you put into words what the magic of this place is?
The most spectacular settings, the nice people, the good food,
I agree with you there. I've never seen such big portions of food. And to look at me, you know I like food. What brings you here? You told me before we started this that you're from Boston originally. You've been in the hospitality business for a while.
Actually, what brought me here originally was the fact that the river is absolutely beautiful, and the hospitality industry is booming and affordable. And you have an enormous, the skiing is spectacular.
Places such as here at Rainbow Ranch have become year-round destinations. I know before I started doing a lot of traveling, I thought that ski areas closed up in the summer. Tell me what tourists are finding in Big Sky country here in the summer, that this is not just a ski area.
It's a year-round resort due to the fishing and the horseback riding and the hiking and the biking. It's much more than a ski resort.
Well, there must be a lot of fishing here because you even have a rod and reel motif on your doorknobs.
Fly fishing is most popular. Second best is the horseback riding.
Kate, what advice would you give to people who have not been, and this is certainly not the wilderness. I mean, you can fly in on a full-size jet into Bozeman, Montana. It's less than an hour drive to get down here. But there are an awful lot of people who haven't been to what you might call the American outback before, who haven't been outside the urban setting. How can you find out about all this? You do have a website now, I understand.
We have a website. It's a 30-page website with unlimited information, but also the Big Sky Chamber of Commerce as well, and Destination Montana is a nice way to find any information about Montana in itself.
What kind of reaction do you get from people, particularly people who've grown up in an urban area, when the microphone is not picking it up, but we're just about 1,000 feet from the river here, you can hear it all the time, when they finally get out of that hustle and bustle and relax and take their wristwatch off? What kind of feedback do you get from people?
This is the most beautiful place we've ever been. The scenery is absolutely spectacular, and we come here, people come here every year, year after year, of course, and it's peaceful. The quality of life is excellent.
Have you begun to draw international travelers to here, very many?
Actually, just in the past 6 months, due to our website, really, have we started having the international travelers. South Africa, Tel Aviv, you name it, they come here, and the Rainbow Ranch is famous for that.
Did the people here in Big Sky get together, we talk about food, but get together all of a sudden and say, hey, let's try to outdo each other on cooking? It seems as if you're all having a contest to see who can provide the biggest entree.
No, no, it's definitely, it's really, Big Sky, it's
the way it is, huh?
Yes, it's just the way it is. Our chefs, of course, are the best. But everyone, the beef is wonderful. The seafood is great. It's not a competition. Everyone has their own kind of cuisine, American cuisine, of course.
You had me do something today which I'd never done before. I grew up in rural America. I've been around horses. I've driven a lot of horse and buggies. I'd never been on top of a horse riding it before. I didn't fall off. I was very proud of myself. But after I got off the horse, I thought, that's a lot of work. Do most people find just riding a horse is more strenuous than it looks like on television?
Yes. It is a lot more work than you think. People come out and they say they want to have the Wild West experience, and they don't realize that there is a lot of work to riding a horse, and it does take a lot out of you. But when you get off there, you think, and the things that you've seen is definitely over.
Well, the magic to me was getting up on the edge of the mountain up here and being able to look down from an area which, had I hiked there, would have taken forever. And you certainly couldn't have driven there. It's the only way to get there.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And that's probably, and will be for a long time, the only way to get to see the most beautiful places in the world.
I hope they don't start putting highways there.
No, they won't. It's Montana.
And there you have it, another edited episode of one of the American Montage programs prepared for the UPI Radio Network back in the 1980s and 90s. I'm Dennis Daly. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with me this week. And check YouTube for more American Montage programs.